An over 3-hour-long take on Hollywood excess in the 1920s. Let's talk about Damien Chazelle's Babylon. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film Babylon. This is in theaters right now, and it features Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie in major roles, and it is directed by Damien Chazelle from La La Land and Whiplash, two really fantastic movies, in my opinion. Before we launch into the review of this movie, and I'll tell you what it's all about, I want to welcome you in to Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We've got a ton of movie and TV stuff to check out, and really ramping up the movie reviews before Oscar season, trying to sort of put a pin on the 2022 films. But this one released right at Christmas, so still fairly fresh. And like I said, it is over 3 hours, this movie. In fact, I think within a couple of minutes of the runtime of Avatar: The Way of Water. But it basically chronicles the rise and fall of a couple of different characters during Hollywood's big transition from silent to sound films in the late 20s, and includes Brad Pitt as sort of the more, you know, I don't want to say grizzled, but, you know, the old-time classic silent star who is having a bit of trouble adjusting to the sound era. And then you've got Margot Robbie, who is playing Nellie Leroy, an aspiring actress, and she is, you know, on her rocket ride to fame as we move from one medium to the other. Included here in the cast is Diego Calva, who is Manny Torres, who is a film assistant and sort of dating the Nellie Leroy character, looking for a bigger role in the film industry, but his heritage, you know, maybe pulling him back a little bit. Gene Smart is here as well, as, you know, sort of a tabloid journalist. PJ Byrne, Max Minghella, Roy Scovel, Tobey Maguire has a bit of a role here. A lot of people that you will recognize from various things. Eric Roberts, Jeff Garland, Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So this is really, you know, one of these full-blown casts, and it already has some love at the Golden Globe Awards, at least for nominations. The awards will be in a few days, but it's been nominated for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy there, and it has 9 nominations at the Critics' Choice Awards, including Best Picture. So, are we looking at maybe some Oscar potential for this movie? I'm not sure. You know, I've put it on Oscar Watch because I think it's got enough awards buzz in some other places that maybe, and of course, Damien Chazelle is, you know, a just, you know, an Oscar darling. Whiplash won a few things, and La La Land won a few things as well, and almost won Best Picture there for a moment. So his movies usually do pretty well at the Oscars, and I'm not sure what major nominations this is going to get, but, you know, now that they do up to 10 Best Pictures, there haven't been that many sort of buzzy movies this year, so I could see this sneaking in a Best Picture nomination. You know, I think it could be more of a long shot, but I think certainly we're going to see things like costume design and cinematography as a part of that conversation. So, let's talk about my feelings on the movie. Like I mentioned, it's very long. You know, I get it, and it was purposely overly long, I think, because, you know, he wanted to really get us invested in that sort of Hollywood spirit of the 20s and 30s, where there were, you know, every day, you know, well, every week or whatever, you had these very long movies, and that was, you know, sort of the norm for a little while, although there were very short movies as well, but some of the, like, the big sweeping epics were in that, you know, 3+ hour range. Even back then. So I get that that was a conscious choice to sort of make this overly long, but it didn't work for me. You could easily have cut off a good 15 minutes on either end of the movie. The stuff in the middle is actually really great. Once we really get the Nellie Leroy character, and Margot Robbie's performance is just wonderful here. She's really sort of soaking up that, you know, silent beauty star, but then trying to transition into sound. And it is something that we've certainly seen before in many classic movies. In fact, this movie boasts not one, but 2 mentions to Singin' in the Rain, which is, about that exact thing, the transition from silent to sound. So, all right, is it too on the nose that we're literally, giving you that? And then there's this like big montage at the end of all these classic, I don't know if this is a Warner Brothers movie or whoever, but whoever owns the rights to Singing in the Rain and Wizard of Oz, there's like this big montage at the end of like all these great moments in movie history. And it just seems so forced. Like, yeah, we like movies too. That's why we're watching this one. Like it reminds me of when the Oscars, at the actual awards ceremony, the Academy Awards, put together those montages that really have nothing to do with, each movie. It's more like, hey, remember, you liked this movie back in the day, back when we used to award movies that people saw. So it just seemed very, very forced at the end. And then the beginning, it's all about the excess of the day, all of this, the crazy shenanigans. And there's definitely some, I would say, sort of veiled references to people of the time that had maybe famous scandals and stuff like that. They weren't being called by their real names here, but as a little bit of a film buff or film historian, I recognize sort of what Chazelle was going for with that. And did he write this movie as well? I know usually he does have something to do with the writing. Yep, he wrote this as well. So I got what he was laying down there, but to me, we didn't necessarily need, a bunch of party fouls and vomiting and, urinating on people to understand that, okay, this is a world of complete excess and, nobody's held accountable for anything. And if, a woman dies, you just have to kind of cart her out the back way and hope that nobody sees her, that kind of thing. Okay. But we could have gotten that in a few minutes, not 20. The story doesn't really, really pick up until, I don't know, I wasn't looking at my watch, but probably about a half hour. But then the next, 2 hours and 15, 20 minutes is like, really good. There's a lot of memorable scenes here, specifically with the Margot Robbie character, but I was sort of brought around on the Brad Pitt character. For a while, I didn't quite really care about him, and again, it was something that we had seen done before, even like with a movie like The Artist, famous silent movie star, and now we're trying to pivot that into the world of sound. So it is a character sort of that we've seen before, but about halfway through the movie, I really was getting on board with his character and what he was going through and his relationship with the studio, his relationship with the tabloid journalist played by Gene Smart. So there's a lot of interesting moments in this movie, but does it all come together for the greater good? No, it does not. For me, this is a step down, probably a big step down from La La Land, which is an A+, Whiplash, which I gave an A to originally, but upon reflection, it probably is an A+. It just narrowly missed my top 25 of the decade. I mean, Whiplash is a fantastic movie. And again, I'm not sure if he writes all of these as well or just directs them, but I think he at least has a hand in the writing. So, for me, this is a good movie, certainly not a great one. And there's a little, or not even a little, way too much sort of padding in this overly long runtime. You can give us a 3 hour and 10-minute movie if all of it, is entertaining, if all the parts equal that. But this one just didn't. Easily 35 to 40 minutes could have been trimmed from this movie without losing any of the steam or any of the excitement of these characters and the movie itself. So I leave Babylon with a C+. Definitely a step down from his other two features. So, all right, thank you for watching, and we'll see everybody next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.